Welcome back to Doing It All. This is a special episode. This episode is special because I get to bring my husband, Pastor Justin, in with me to have a great conversation around doing it all. And today's topic and title is Can We Really Do It All? Marriage, hustle, family, faith, everything. So many things on our plate. And some days I think we both wonder if we can really do it all. But that's not really up for debate because we don't have a choice and we are doing it all. And so I welcome my husband, Justin, to Doing It All podcast with me, myself. I usually get to be on the JD Morning Show or something at the Soar Awards, but today he gets to be on mine. So
Well,
welcome.
Thank you for thinking of me to have me on here. I know everybody else is probably top on your list, so thanks for including little of me.
You don't have to be formal for the people who got it.
Oh, I didn't plan on being.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's just dive in, y'all, because we really just be playing all our lives. We gonna play, but I first want to ask you a question. I want to dive into marriage and balance.
Okay.
I guess the first question I have for you is people see us at events, they see us at church, they see us working, doing all the things, but what's the real behind the scenes? I think that's what people really want to know. And I hear people often say, you're our, like, we look up to you. And I think that that is great and amazing, but there are things that happen in marriages that people don't see. And I want to talk about the balance of what it looks like to do all of these things together and what the behind the scenes looks like in your opinion.
Crazy. I think it's you, as you say, are able to do all the things. And I think that's a good question. Are we? And whenever I get asked that, I'm like, I don't know. I think day by day is the best solution, or the secret sauce in my world is just not trying to get too ahead of things. So, hey, if today is Sunday, then the focus is going to be on church. If maybe today is Tuesday and we're doing awards, the focus is on awards. So behind the scenes, and I've said it too, I don't know that I've mastered balancing. Well, I know I haven't.
But do we really?
Yeah. No. I think it's just trying to figure out what you can do and then being okay with what you can't do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to, let's break it up a little bit.
Okay.
When we think of business, right, we think about how we have to show up for all the places that we're responsible for. And one of those places, they always say marriage comes first, but a lot of times it's difficult when you manage so many things. How do you see yourself either not mastering, or working toward mastery of balancing what is so difficult when you have so many things on your plate?
I mean, it goes back to the first question. I don't really know. And because I don't judge other people that are doing it, I don't know if I'm doing well or not.
Oh, well.
Oh, thank you. I think I've gotten better at it. And I think one thing in this season that has helped alleviate some of it is learning delegation.
Oh, yeah.
Because we wear a lot of hats and are business owners, there's other people that I realized I was not just handicapping them, but I wasn't allowing them to spread their wings when I was trying to hold on to everything. So now I'm learning, and even as we embark on the awards, I'm learning, okay, collaboration, partnership, and there's other people that can do stuff.
John Hanna just said that today. He said, your next level, you can't get there without partnership.
Yeah, and you have to be okay. I think, and I'll say because I'm a perfectionist and I can be a little anal on OCD, but what I think I've had to learn is, and life will teach you that. But what I've had to learn is being okay with somebody else doing it, even if they do it differently than I would do.
That's interesting because I learned that back when I first started in leadership. One of the people that was working with the person that was training me asked her, if you gave somebody an assignment, your job is not to dictate if that's how you would do the assignment. Your job is to just give them the assignment, and however they choose to do it within the scope of what the outcome should be, you should be happy with that. So that's interesting you say that. You just got to be okay with the delegation.
Absolutely.
And then as long as the job and task get done, it's fine.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I'm doing, and I'm learning. And hey, maybe because nobody's Superman.
Right.
So when you're trying to do everything at once, something may get a shorthand. But imagine giving one thing to somebody else that's their whole focus. They may even be able to take it way further than us. So I think that's been part of my balancing, is taking stuff not off my plate, but helping delegate to where other people can work.
Yeah, and then that frees like space in your brain to do other things. And I've kind of learned in marriage, if you don't have a space to delegate or have partnerships where you can lean and depend on other people, it does hinder the marriage, and it hinders just even being a parent because our brains are so fixated on trying to solve all these problems that it's very difficult to be present like at home.
Absolutely.
And so I've
Absolutely.
also been working on that. All right, so let's talk about the hustle reality. It's cool to say we need balance and all that, but there's a reality behind hustling. There's a true reality because during the Solar Wars time specifically, you got all types of things on your plate. So when you think about what it really means to hustle,
And is it ever really a break from Soul Wars? Because even when it's
Not
not,
really.
when the notch is not, the 2 months before it's crazy, but it still is quite crazy. But anyway.
yeah, how do you see hustle without burnout though? Not balance, but burnout. Because when you're a multi-passionate person or you're a person that has a lot of things on their plate, sometimes you don't really care. And I'm not saying you as a Justin, I'm saying just in general, when you are a hustle person or you have goals and dreams and that is what you see, it's almost like you see money or green and that's all you go for. What does that look like for you when navigating burnout? Because you can't kill yourself hustling to the top.
So with me, I believe I will sleep when I'm 6 feet under.
Oh, Jesus.
So until we get there, I'm good. No, but I'm saying that facetious, but I'm saying it serious.
I think you were very serious.
I am, but to add to that, I actually sleep at night, and I tell people because people are like,
do.
everything that you do, I'm gonna get my sleep, whether 9 to 10. It's something about our bed. I will sit in that bed and I'm done, and I would get up, I think, faithfully at 5:30. So I sleep. The issue is when I'm awake. My brain never stops. It never stops going. But at the same
I
time,
forgot what study it was. I should have pulled the stats. They said women actually don't. Our brains don't go off when we sleep either. We're thinking about the kids. We're thinking about you. We thinking about.
I believe it because I'm
tasks.
asleep.
We thinking about what we got to cook tomorrow. We thinking about the groceries. We don't stop. But so
Yeah.
that's beautiful that you get to actually close your eyes and actually sleep.
Yeah, and I think too with me, it's just where I'm at right now. I've always been. I never forget who told it to me. But don't complain. So many of us ask always God to do this, that. And right now it may be a hot season, but so don't complain when the phone rings because matter of fact, you should maximize that because there will come a time where it does. Very few people can remain like when we think of Beyonce and stuff. How many Beyoncés can we say have forever been in their prime? And even with her, I'm sure 20 years down the road or something, it may, not saying she won't be who she is,
Right.
but so nobody will be in their prime always.
Yeah.
So why not, do what you need to do? And I've said it too. I've been transparent. Listen, we don't know how long we're going to be on earth.
Yeah.
So I refuse to live not trying things or with saying, I wonder if this work out or that doesn't. So I'm hustling into it in a sense because I have not got the full bag yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep hustling until I get the full bag. And I think this is something you say, we talked about it, throwing spaghetti at the wall. So sometimes it takes several tries to figure it out.
Yep.
And I think we're about to go on year 9 with the Solar Wars. Would have been 10 had not COVID.
Yeah.
But there are some things that I'm just now learning. Justin, you don't need this. You can do without. Yep. And we're 9-10 years in. Yep. So listen, I believe in trying until something works. You cannot keep throwing spaghetti on the wall and at one point it not sticking.
Man, one of them pieces got to stick.
Something got to stick, even if it's the meatball.
Yeah, because that's actually why I started the podcast. Somebody mentioned to me that they felt like I did a lot of things. And I don't think people really realize how many streams of income you have to be wealthy.
Especially in this day.
There is no 9-to-5 job that will pay the lifestyle that I actually dream and imagine in my head.
Yeah.
And so there has to be multiple streams made. Now, what I'm also learning, and this is something we can maybe segue to, is finding the right things and using our energy properly and not using energy in places in which we don't need to utilize them. And so that's really why I started Doing It All, and the rebrand of myself is I started to look at my time audit and think about how are you using your time, and are you using it to the best of your ability to ensure that the things that you're trying to get to, you can actually get to it. And I also find that when you're hustling and you're trying to balance things, that's a huge component of if you can balance well. Mm-hmm. Can you balance well if you do not know how to manage your time and prioritize your time? And so one of my questions is, how do you think about family and prioritizing? For instance, with me, I've been really working on being a present mom. Mm-hmm. I have lots of goals, lots of dreams. I want to do so many things. I want to go to law school now. I wanted to do all these things, right? But I also realized that I have girls, and girls need their mom. And so if I'm too exhausted to raise them to be women, then I'm not really using my time wisely, because the time God has given me is to be a mother and a wife. And so all those other things become secondary to the task at hand. So what do you feel about prioritizing the family?
Along with we won't be in our prime always, the kids won't be quote unquote, I mean, they'll always be our kids, but they won't be kids like that forever.
Right.
So with that being said, I want to make sure we enjoy every moment. One thing that I think is I keep using the word secret. It's really not a secret, but we take our kids everywhere with us too.
Yeah.
So we're not one of those. It's very rare that the grandparents have them. And usually if that's because of out of town or somewhere where kids just can't go.
Right.
Very few. I think we could probably count on our hands how many times they've stayed overnight.
Yep.
Probably somewhere in the period of all their lives. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I believe in keeping the kids everywhere. I remember when growing up, my mom took me to college with her in Des Moines, and she said, everybody said, no, leave them at home. And she was like, no, but I appreciate that, because I was able to be on campus. I was able to see. So even though, yes, sometime when they're with us, whether it be at church or whether it be at work, or even this past year, we took them to the SOAR Awards, which, because especially with it being in Chicago, we missed not having them present. So, I think they can appreciate being a part of this and to see. So I think that's a big part. And then too, we make sure even beyond that, we do fun things all the time. So whether that means if we have a free Saturday, or maybe we have church on Sunday, but we'll do something Sunday night.
That's my specialty though.
Yeah, you put some pizzazz on it, but no, most of the time you're the one that does it and takes it above and beyond. Okay. But every blue moon, I'll be like, okay, let's do this Friday, or let's go. You'll plan it.
You like the apple orchard.
Well, I also like fair.
Okay, you like
different things
like
to have food.
That have elephant ears. Donuts.
Hey,
let's go to Chicago so we can go eat Priscilla's.
Hey, sound like a plan to me.
You paying for it, so God is good.
But with that, we'll make sure the kids. We may take them to none of these places are endorsing us, so I'm not going to call out restaurants. But we may.
Okay.
Go to
various places. Come on, guys.
Yes. I'm not making anybody else rich yet.
But we try to get on. But when I'm thinking about the SOAR Awards, just in general, I also think about legacy. And when we talk about our kids and what they get exposed to, I think they have a unique opportunity to be exposed to something that we're building. So even though we're balancing marriage and balancing the SOAR Awards and balancing business and balancing the church and balancing all these things, the kids also get a unique experience that I don't feel like they're missing out on a whole lot, because I do feel like with all of the things that we do with them, that we overcompensate for the level of busyness, which I do think is important. I think parents should overcompensate in the areas in which.
But I think also too, now mind you, we are busy and we have several jobs, but I don't think we have downtime. So I think maybe that may be a misnomer. People just always think we're constantly going. There are times where we're at home, and I'm a homebody anyway, so I enjoy it. And to that point, lately the kids been keeping us busy with their extracurriculars.
That's true.
So a lot of the busyness lately is not us.
Yeah.
It's these having kids and sports and stuff.
But I think too, when I think of busy, if our brains are always going during the day, sometimes even though our body is present, our minds are not. And so kids can feel and experience that, which is also one of the pieces of what I meant by doing it all. Because it is hard to give yourself to another person when you're extremely exhausted. And I'm not talking about a spouse. Kids, the kids sometimes will say, you're just sitting on your cell phone. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm not. This
phone is not just a phone. It's a computer. It is a book writer. It's a sermon writer.
And they don't care. Frankly, they don't care. They care more about balancing. But I would say, if I had to judge our balance of parenting, I would say we're definitely 8. What you think?
Yeah, and 2, I know, especially the younger one, sometimes, even if that's because, listen, they love their devices and their games and stuff. If she ever's like, can I come sit on the couch with you while I work? Absolutely. I'm never going to say no. So at the end of the day, I think that brings it to, we're very present. Listen, it was hard to even make this thing happen because the kids are always with us. So
Yes. Shout out to Miss.
We live together and we literally had to plan this week's to,
Well, that's a great segue. So let's talk about holding on. So on the days that we do balance and we can't balance, or it's hard or difficult, there's also that piece of the marriage in the very beginning that many people don't know, and we will not be telling y'all all our business in this podcast. But what we will say is that it has been a strain to have two entrepreneurs, multi-passionate go-getters in one marriage trying to figure it out. It has not been easy. I would say we're definitely friends and good friends now, and I think when you start to really understand someone and where they are, it's a little bit easier to cope and deal with. But when it comes to working together, those first few years, my God, the SOAR Awards was a stretch. Thoughts on SOAR Awards in marriage and how we've been able to navigate to success?
I have none. I'm just playing.
Like,
no, honestly, time.
You thought it was all perfect?
No, I just think time.
Yeah.
Time is the,
Well,
anything.
What did you learn with working with your spouse? Because I think that when you work with your spouse, it's hard to separate business and.
Hasn't been hard for me to separate business.
It's definitely been hard for me.
Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, I think time. You grow up anytime you just grow up, whether it be spiritually, whether it be physically, whether it be in marriage or whatever. When you learn some battles aren't worth fighting,
True.
you also learn I've learned to be less defensive. Listen, I mean, I just really would say time and just growing up. It just, I think when I think that your spouse does have your best interest in mind, it does help. But I think too, anybody that's an entrepreneur, whether we do business together or you help me with this or I help you with this, when God gave one person the ideal, they're always going to be super passionate about, like I hear mothers always say, hey, you didn't have this child for 9 months. So there's going to be a different bond. So I think there's going to always be some connection with what you call your baby or your vision or whatever. But I think just time and growing up, I think, has made a difference. But yeah, I'm the type of person, and this is beyond marriage, I can separate.
Yeah, you're just unbothered.
Well, yeah, and I can separate the two. Like, I can know if somebody's, my pastor, but they're also like, I can respect, it's not hard for me to navigate between the roles.
Yeah, I think when I think of that question, I also think of it from the angle of how do you support each other, at least from the wife standpoint, and still be a positive force for your spouse, right? Be positive, and I've learned to give you space in your creative thinking and leadership and not be the person to know all the answers or push my own onto you. And I found that once we were able to navigate the respect boundaries of, this is the SOAR Awards, this is not Ignite, and I think I learned this from TJ, is that everybody has to have their individual thing in marriage. Now, you can help each other, but Ignite is mine. I go and do it, but you've helped invest it. A lot of the stuff that I have, you've poured into. Every business venture, every opportunity, but you stayed in your lane while I did that.
But I think the secret, even with Ignite, and I've said it too, I'll be like, okay, are you asking me my opinion or just listening? Because I think sometimes people just want to be heard and share.
And so I think that has helped too. I find that it's easier to support someone when you have your own. And so it's easy to allow, or say, I shouldn't say allow because it's yours, but if you say, I want to do it this way, I got like 50 other things I could be working on. I think that has helped me in marriage, is to have my own lane that I soar in as well. And then we come together and make magic in specific lanes together. And I just think that is a really important factor in any relationship. It doesn't even just have to be marriage, is identifying where you're good and also respecting other people in their creative thinking and what God gives them. So I would say in holding on in marriage, one of the big things for me has definitely been to think through how I would want to feel in a situation in my own endeavors. And that has really, really helped. But aside from that, even thinking through the stresses, when the load gets too heavy, I think what's interesting about our marriage is that when I am sitting on the couch on my side, on my phone working, you doing your thing, there is no argument. Neither one of us, I'm happy you want to sit over on your side. I want to sit on my side. And naturally, I feel like you're like an introvert anyway. I'm not really, but at home.
That's how we can work together too, because you want to go to all the places and the events. I don't. I will stay at home. The kids can stay with me. And it's funny because sometimes like Bella will be the one that wants to go to you, but then like the youngest is wants to stay at. I am such an introvert. I love people, love what I do, but I love being at home.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on multi passionate people? So, I would consider you a multi passionate person. And the reason I say that is because I feel like you come up with a new event, activity, or something to do, even when you say that you're not, and it really all just stems from the same thing. I feel like our whole life is a big event. So, what do you say to multi passionate people who get a lot of ideas, who can execute those ideas, but struggle with staying on the hamster
I don't
wheel?
think I've even ever heard that term, multi-passionate.
That's
I
what I'm
don't
calling
think
it
I've
because I
ever
think
heard that.
I'm calling it that because I have seen it online too. But people give people with brains like ours a bad rap. Like we are all over the place or we don't have a concentration. I feel like you're a little more concentrated in some ways than I am, but I feel like how I said we started this podcast is that when people made the comment that you do all these things, well, yes, but it's not that I'm unaware of why I'm doing it. Everything has a place and a space, and I know exactly why I'm doing it, and it all matches to one big puzzle. What do you say to those that feel like they're on a constant hamster wheel? Because even in the podcast name, Doing It All, the goal is not for people to literally go do it all. Like, what do you say to that?
I think it's different. I think it's two different type of people. It's the ones that know their purpose and they're just trying to figure out where or hit the goal. But then I think there's some people that are doing it because they don't know their purpose. So they're trying to do singing lessons and piano lessons and athletic, and go to school for this degree and that. So I think there's two different people. I would say first you need to define what your purpose is.
Right.
But in defining your purpose, sometime you will have to try different things to see. And one of my favorite books of the Bible is in Ecclesiastes, and it talks about how in chapter 3 there's a season and a time for everything.
Right.
And I think it's 3:11 where it says everything is beautiful in its time. So at the end of the day, and like you said, people will tell you, oh, you're doing too much, sit down. And what do I have to say to them? Nothing. Because at the end of the day, I have to also understand and not take it personal or feel some type of way when people say that, because God didn't give it to them. So, and I think you can, your favorite phrase too, things can be true at the same time. I think you can have multiple abilities and you can be good at several things. I don't know why we have this monolithic type of thinking where somebody can only be great in one thing. No, you can be multi-talented, multi-passionate, but I think you have to be, at least myself, you have to know though, in this day, this is going to get most of you. This may get 80% of you, and this may get 20. But, just know this week, this month, this year, it may be different.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's why even I say to the church, which it always works well, because January and February, we're recovering from winter. And we're recovering from Christmas and Thanksgiving. And let's be honest, in the Midwest, it's the worst weather. So they always know January and February, we don't go heavy on church events because it also is SOAR Awards preparation time.
Yeah.
So, I don't go any lighter on my sermons. I still prepare, still do all of that. But some of the extracurricular, we just know. And I know that. And where we're at now, gratefully, we've grown in different talented and other people that are skilled in different things where we don't have to do it all. But you just have to be okay with where you're at for that day.
Yeah. And I think something you tapped on, I agree, is identifying your purpose. And for those that are listening and struggling to identify your purpose, think about something that makes you feel happy, because it's probably stemmed toward that. And then I want you to look up what purpose means, because it's hard to define purpose when you don't know what it is. And purpose is something that God calls you to do because it is something he places inside of you. So for instance, my purpose is to speak and teach. I know that. And I do specific speaking and teaching. So I am not probably a speaker and teacher for all people, but I love specific areas within my niche. Another thing that I know is my purpose is I thoroughly enjoy being a mother and a wife, and I love to do it well. And there's other things that God has placed in me. That's why my podcast is called Doing It All, because I believe that if God gives it to me, then I'm going to do the best I can with the abilities in which he gives me. But I do feel that there are a lot of people in this world that are truly struggling just in life in general, and I know a lot of it has to do with unidentified purposes. And what do you do when you don't know your purpose? You're lost. And depression creeps in those that are unsure of how to show up each day. So, where did you find your purpose? When did you know that you were going to be living in your purpose? And how can you give the listeners some form of ID to know that they're operating or living in it?
Okay. I don't know. I never really thought about it like that. I would say, just as you said, find out what you're good at. I just know my purpose is not in one of the hats that I wear. It's on the
Right.
titles, but it's really, I know my life has been the biggest. Just the biggest purpose is to show other people a lot of the struggles I've went through,
Yeah.
but how I've not given up.
Yeah.
And I think there's been things that have come from that. When did I find out that I'm living it? I think one default or growth area I have to have is celebrating small wins,
Yeah.
because I'm always thinking about the next thing. And I
Yeah.
think because I'm always thinking about the next thing, I don't know that I can ever say, oh, I am living my purpose. Like, even though I know I am, I'm not always ultra focused on that. So sometimes other people have to remind me that, hey, Justin, you're living the prayers that you once prayed
Yeah, I was
for.
gonna say, I feel like you live in 1000% in purpose.
Yeah,
And
but
I feel
you
like
know-
yours is very concentrated.
Yeah, no, I am, and I love everything that I do. Honestly, it really not being too cliche, but really the mission statement of all SOAR is to get the believers, or to get people, whether it be the radio or the wards or the church, to soar to their highest potential, know? And honestly, I think just seeing other people win, seeing other people not be afraid to try, I think it's kind of been my testimony that I've seen other people. Because I think we always do this thing, I'll start it when I'm ready or when I get the money. I literally started every endeavor. Now, your dad says, what, with 2 pennies or 2 dimes? What did he say? 3 dimes.
Yeah.
Well, I start mine with
Shout out to
nothing.
Pastor Malone.
Yes.
Hey, Dad.
I always start mine. I've started it with nothing. And I mean, that doesn't mean I don't fail. That doesn't mean sometimes I go in the red. But I have tenacity. I believe in persistence. And I've always said it. Joyce Meyer's message has changed my life. Do it afraid.
Yeah.
And it's literally the mantra how I live my entire life, by that. So moments like this, I'm reminded I'm living my purpose. When I get an inbox message of somebody saying, man, you've encouraged me to do this, reminds me that I'm living my purpose. And just because I know there's so much hell that the enemy tries to bring in my way, even physically, that really shows me that I'm doing something right.
Yeah. That's good.
Because the enemy, I always say this, the enemy never attacks non-moving items. He only attacks objects that are moving.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, once they start to identify that when you're living in your purpose, it's not going to feel easy, I think most people would lean in more. If you're looking for a moment where it feels so easy and so smooth, you're probably not operating in the space in which you should, because there's been nothing easy about anything that any of us have done. But what's interesting is when you have the tenacity to push through, when it doesn't give you Skittles and rainbows right away, that lets you know that your purpose and your passion is aligned. And so I've been even identifying that within my business. Every day I try to go to sleep and say, I'm just going to let it go. I can't. There's been days where I'm like, you know what, skip this. I'm about to go apply for a job. I got these degrees. I can make the money and just go live my life. I'd rather struggle right now because my purpose is aligned and it feels good. And every speaking engagement, every opportunity, every time I teach, every time I show up in spaces, whether it's strategic planning or supporting others, I come alive.
But and here's the thing too, I don't know where you get it from. Who said it'd be easy?
Yeah.
And perhaps if it was easy, wouldn't we probably see more people doing it?
Right.
And I think the difference between somebody that's achieving success and not oftentimes is that just holding on.
Yeah.
I think I've said it like last Sunday or the Sunday before at church. Some of us need to get delivered from quitting.
Oh, that's good.
We start things well, but we never finish it. That's why you got one person that one day.
Why do you think people don't finish?
Because of fear. Because
people don't like to fail.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, nobody. I don't like the rejection or fail, but how you fail at everything that you haven't tried.
Yeah.
So I'd rather fail and try versus sitting on the couch and wondering. There's nothing that I've wanted to do or achieve, at least business-wise, I think, or ministry-wise yet, that I've not at least tried.
Yeah. That's good.
And two, if I can add, sometimes people need to see you trying. So then they can give you the resources that you didn't have.
Yeah, that's good too. Yeah. So I really just wanted to bring you on today to give people a couple nuggets to let them know that it's not easy. Marriage ain't easy. Business ain't easy. Trying is not easy. Nothing is easy, but sitting there surely ain't the option. And so I hope to encourage you guys that if you are married, if you are in business, if you are trying to just find your purpose, please know that we also are working every single day. There is no perfect person, no perfect marriage, no perfect situation, but it is possible to do it all. You just may not be able to do it all at once. And so I encourage you to follow along as we embark on this SOAR Awards journey. I'm actually going to film a lot of the SOAR Awards journey this year so you can see what it's like as we grind our way into what God has called us to do, soaring to higher heights. We are super excited. Please give them a little shout out to where we will be this year for the SOAR Awards. Give them any information you want to say. And we're going to just send them off with some encouragement.
Well, I'm excited. I'm meeting with the music team this week. So I have my first, I think, 2026 official SOAR meeting this week. But no, I'm excited. SOAR is returning to Chicago again, March 2nd. It will be only one show this year, and I'm excited about that at Greenwood Oasis in Chicago, Illinois. And you can get your tickets, soar.ticketlassie.com. I'm not even going to call names, but it's a lot of dope people that'll be there.
Yeah. And I hope this conversation gave you guys just a glimpse of the behind the scenes of what it's like to love God, work together, identify where you struggle, and then be able to apologize, because I feel like that's something that we've had to do, is identify where we need to grow as individuals so that we can have a home that is filled with love, because I really do feel like it's super hard to do ministry when you're not on one accord at home. I think we've learned that, and I feel that there's a peace when you align with your purpose, fly in your own lane, and ask God to do the rest. And so I thank you guys for coming along this journey of this conversation with us. Continue to follow along as we continue to soar and do what God has called us to do. Any last things, babe, you want to say?
No, I think we said it. We said it all.
Can you tell them to subscribe?
Yes. Make sure you hit that button and subscribe to this amazing podcast and join her I don't know when you come on, but whenever you come on,
every
just join
second
us.
Tuesday. And it's really exciting because we're going to be bringing some really cool guests on. I even plan to have a live episode during the SOAR Awards 2025 this year where
2025.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Devil is a
SOAR.
lie. No more show this year.
SOAR 2026.
Yes.
I want to do a live audience so that I bring in some very powerful people that are just doing awesome things. So stay tuned for that. But for now, thank you for joining us for Doing It All, Husband Edition, and see you guys on the second Tuesday.